When all people of all different upbringings, backgrounds, experiences come together, they can shine a light and fill in the gaps of anyone's individual blind spots.
Welcome to Thrive by Design, the podcast for ambitious, independent jewelry brands looking to profit from their products. Get ready to make more and sell more doing what you love without spending every single waking minute doing it. Hey, and if you're a creative, fashion, or product-based business, I want to welcome you to the show. I'll be dropping big tips on launching, growing, and scaling your business so you can spend more of your precious time using your creativity to make money. You ready? All right, let's do this.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast, episode 445. Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews, Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy, host of the show today. And today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, masterminding, because it is something that we have incorporated into the fabric of our coaching programs. And you may have heard, because I've been talking about it for the past couple of weeks, that I am starting a mastermind. And if you are someone who might be in the right place for it, I would love to invite you to apply to that group. But I'm going to mention that in a minute. I'm going to dive right into that. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this episode today, more than anything, is because I was watching a video this last weekend as I'm recording this, and it's actually like a series of 3 videos. And this guy was talking about the education system and how it's, in a sense, rigged to basically program people to be workers in a factory. And I'm oversimplifying it, but basically, if we take a look back at history and dial it way back, part of the, desire or what the education system was trying to do back then was to groom people to work for other people. And now as entrepreneurs and business owners and people listening to this podcast who may have taken the route of, doing your own thing, you're one of the people that's considered an outlier because maybe you didn't conform in school, or maybe you're someone like me who has dyslexia and you had a hard time actually, really seeing how you could fit into a conventional job, right? So I say this because there's literally nothing wrong with someone who goes to work for someone else, and that's not what I'm saying here. But more than anything, it's about taking the road less traveled and going against the grain. And so the premise of this video series was about people taking the path of what I'm going to call an outlier, just because I don't know what else to call it and exactly what this guy called it because I don't remember the details like that. And at the end of it, he's like, one of the ways that all these great leaders who build great companies over the years, one of the ways that they do that is through having a mentor or being part of a mastermind group. And over the past couple of weeks, I've talked about it in different ways, in particular because, when I was thinking about money mindset and how I've been able to create more wealth for myself, how I've been able to create a more profitable business, as I've been able to create more freedom for myself, where are the roots in the support that I got that helped me get here? And when I look back at my previous business, my first business that I ever started, Tracy Matthews Designs, Inc. I think you could still probably find remnants of that on the internet somewhere, or the Wayback Machine. You can probably find my old website. Super fun. Anyway, long story short, when I think back to that business, I did not value in investing in myself. And I used to always say to myself, I wish someone would just tell me what to do. And I did seek, peer support a lot. I would ask my friend Susie, who owned a sweater line, how she was building things. And I would ask other people who owned handbag lines. I seem to have a lot of friends kind of in periphery businesses. But when I met jewelry designers, they were unwilling to share. And I don't know why, but that was the case. I felt like back then, they felt like it would be a competitive edge. One of the benefits of having a couple of friends who did have businesses that they were selling to retail is like they gave me some insight. The challenge is that because their business was a little bit different than mine, meaning like they were selling more to fashion stores as opposed to jewelry stores, or stores that carried, a lot of times the stores that they sold in carried expensive handbags, but they wouldn't carry more expensive jewelry. So they were carrying like costume jewelry or something. I learned a lot from those relationships and those experiences, but the challenge is that they weren't exactly completely relatable to what I was doing. And so I had a couple of opportunities to work with a consultant. I had another opportunity to work with a mentor, had another opportunity to hire people in to support me in business. And I always looked at the investment in mentorship, either a mastermind group or a consultant. Mastermind groups weren't as big of a thing back then, but if I were looking at a consulting package or a coaching package from someone who was going to help me reach my goals or hold me accountable, I always looked at that as a cost instead of an investment in my future business growth. And what a mistake that was. And here's why I'm going to tell you that, because I was being so myopic and short-sighted that all I could do was look at my existing bank account to make a decision that might change things forever. And it wasn't until I actually was in a desperate situation that I hired my first consultant. You may have heard me talk about him. His name is Phil. God rest his soul. And Phil was this older man who had taken a bunch of companies in distressed situations and helped them create a positive outcome. And because he'd already made his money working for, billionaires, he, in his retirement, started a company where he wanted to work with small businesses because that's what he was really passionate about. And so he supported me for about a year and a half. It was one of the best experiences of my life. And it was an unusual match because Phil was someone who he taught in parables. Like he would tell me a lot of stories about things. And oftentimes those stories were pulled from the Bible. And my grandparents, who are very religious, would be rolling in their grave to know that I didn't know the parables, but he would be pulling these stories out to teach me really profound business lessons and share with me all these different unique perspectives and different ways that we could look at things. And on top of that, he had trained his team or his board of advisors that would come in and look at our business to do the same thing. And so that experience was so profound, not because my business was saved because of it, but because it helped me open up my eyes to all of the possibilities of what I could potentially do. And that ultimately led to me starting a brand new business that was really profitable, very short period of time, to really taking all the lessons that I learned from my first company and understanding that maybe my business didn't continue after 11 years. It wasn't a failure necessarily because it was an opportunity for me to learn and pivot and grow from that. And then that led me to eventually finding another mentor in a different niche because my relationship with Phil was over and it was time to move on, where I was in like a mastermind of sorts, like a community of people that actually changed the way I thought of my business forever. And that ultimately led me to starting Flourish and Thrive Academy several years later and eventually building a very successful community, very successful programs. And I kept saying to myself, I think I'm ready to really join a mastermind group. And that's when I joined my first mastermind group, official mastermind group, which was, I think it was 2014 or 2015. My mentor, Ryan Levesque, supported me in that. And from that time, over the 3 years that I was in that mastermind, my business grew from a $300,000 revenue business to a 7+ figure company that employed, probably 8 people at that time, which was really, really exciting during the time I was in that mastermind. And the only reason why I left that group was because Ryan decided to shut the group down. He was moving in a different direction. He wanted to build software. And I guess technically I didn't leave the group because he actually shut the group down. But if it weren't for that, I probably would still be in that group because I've made some great friends. And those relationships, I think the group ended in 2018 or 2019, I can't remember. The relationships that I made from that group have been lasting relationships that I still have to this day. And many of these people are confidants for me in business now. Like I can call up my friend Clint and talk to him about what's going on in my business. And he has great insight, or if he's dealing with something in his relationship, or if he's, wanting to share something with me, like we still support each other. 2 of the women in that group, I still talk to every single month. And it's been an amazing resource. When we've been through our challenges, when we've been through our ups and downs, we've helped one of the people in that group overcome some, really severe emotional issues. And another, even though one of the people in the group is running a $100 million company, she's still coming in and giving us leadership advice. And, I can come in and give a different perspective on things that are a little bit more scrappy from a smaller size business. And it's been game changing and one of those things that I would never give back to the world. And that is why I'm such a huge proponent in mastermind groups and why I have continued to be either a part of a mastermind group or some sort of business group or setting up masterminds amongst people that I want to mastermind with. And then finally starting my own mastermind again. And I'm saying again because we used to have a mastermind over here at Flourish and Thrive Academy. Now, a lot of you might be asking why we stopped running the mastermind at Flourish and Thrive. And I'm going to give you the insight into that in just a minute. And then I'm going to walk you through why masterminds are so powerful and the history of masterminds too, so that you can see why I am so adamant about mastermind groups. And so first, we had a mastermind over here for many years at Flourish and Thrive. We ran it for 3 to 4 years. I think we started it in 2013. And then it ran until about 2016 or 17. I can't totally remember. That group was run by me and my co-founder, Robin Kramer. And at a certain point, Robin was dealing with some issues with her family. Her father was really sick. And I knew that she was going to need to step down from that group. And so we decided together that she would move on to do her own group coaching program or group mastermind that primarily focused on wholesale because that was really her zone of genius. And I really wanted to move into the space of building omni-channel businesses because I knew the power of online selling and I could see the future and the trend towards direct to consumer, which, I was just literally on Instagram today seeing another company where they were talking about, they were sharing some screenshots of DMs talking about how retail has changed so much. And some of these big retailers aren't even paying their vendors, you guys, and they're keeping their jewelry and it's awful. Anyway, wholesale's still good. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that the landscape has changed and we all need to take our power back and move forward with a diverse business model that actually can be sustainable if one of the revenue streams goes away. And that was what I became really passionate about. And so during that time, I started a coaching program that was originally called SOS. And because it was new, it required all of my attention and I couldn't do a mastermind group at that time. And then eventually we rebranded that program into our current program, Momentum, which is focused on building an omni-channel business. And that program is really focused primarily around supporting you in creating your business plan and marketing plan and helping you execute that plan. And then on top of that, we bring in expert training. We teach you how to sell online. We teach you all the things that you need to know and give you a ton of ongoing support and one-on-one attention in that group. And it's an incredible program that's still running today. We have a lovely group of designers in there and it's just a joy. And then, the business was changing and evolving and I wasn't really sure what direction we were going in. And I started thinking about bringing a mastermind group back. And it first came into inception last year. And I decided that I wasn't ready, not to put it off, but I knew that if I wanted to do this, I had to deliver a great experience to the designers. And it felt very last minute. So I decided to hold it off and I felt into it. And we just had our event here for our Momentum program in October, right? And being together in the community of these designers just made me want to step up and bring this group together. And people have been DMing me and asking me, do you have a mastermind? What does that look like? And I'm like, no, not right now. But if we ever do, I'll let you know. And so I've opened up this mastermind group that is designed for high achieving jewelry business owners who want more out of their business and their life. And it's not just about growing your business, although that's a great after effect. It's about increasing your profitability. It's about companionship, camaraderie. It's about getting outside eyes on your business from a mastermind, which I'm going to explain a little bit more. So if you want to hear more about that, you can head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/mastermind. I'm going to just plug that there. There's also a link in the show notes. But more importantly, even if my mastermind's not good for you, figure out how to do this. Find another group, find another mastermind, find a mentor that you really vibe with that makes you excited to invest the money in the group. Because I'm telling you, the investment in a mastermind group is expensive for a variety of reasons. Number one, you have direct access, usually to the founder of the company or the leader of the group who has years and years of experience. Number two, there is a big expense to hosting a mastermind group. You have to have a location, curate all the things that go along with this and create the conversation and curate that. And on top of that, if you're in a group like the one that I'm curating, it also involves having basically an organized board of advisors that come in and talk to that community around their business. And so it's not as straightforward. And what I've found, anytime I've been in a group that has tried to be self-led by the community, it ends up falling apart and it just ends up being one event. And I really want to work with the designers throughout the year and create, my vision for this is to create a group of people who work together for many years moving forward. And so I'm launching it to a very small group of people, just about 15. And I'll share more about that at the end of this episode. But first, I want to really dive into why a mastermind group is so powerful. So you might be wondering what the origin of the mastermind is. It was first introduced, it was a concept created by Napoleon Hill. He wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. And what he says about this is that according to Napoleon Hill, a mastermind group is a coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. He believed that when individuals come together in collaborative setting, they could benefit from the collective intelligence, experiences, and skills of the group, which he referred to as the mastermind. So the idea is that when all people of all different upbringings, backgrounds, experiences come together, they can shine a light and fill in the gaps of anyone's individual blind spots, because what one person may have experienced may not be what the other person experienced. And so it creates this mind where you guys are working together in this circle of trust that really builds powerful connections and growth in a variety of different ways. And so this is super, super important. And it's not for everyone. It's not always the best for businesses that are just in the startup mode, because you're more in like that learning mode. But as you begin to grow and you're starting to like kind of feel like, I'm not this alone, like I really want some community and support, this is where it can become so powerful. And the reason being is because of the collective intelligence of the group, as I mentioned before. When you have diverse perspectives and people coming at it from different angles and different experiences, it leads to better decision-making from each of the individual founders. And so great things happen. I was able to watch my friend who had a very similar business to mine really just end up like making really solid decisions as a result of being in a mastermind group. And he ended up selling his company for, I don't know, an eight-figure payout. And that to me is insane. All by stuff that he learned or was like mentored through in a mastermind group. Incredible. I mentioned this earlier. My company grew during the 3 years that I was in Ryan's mastermind from 300,000 to multiple seven figures. Crazy, in 3 years, because of what I learned in that community. Another friend got investors in their business, which was really cool because there was someone else who had raised funding for their business, and they learned how to create a pitch deck, how to pitch the investors, and what to actually do and say, and the types of groups to approach for that investment capital. Now, as far as the Flourish and Thrive Academy community goes, some of the great results that I've seen from our previous masterminds or people who've been in a mastermind experience with me is mapping out a plan to build an 8-figure business from their multiple 7-figure business right now, finding, as I mentioned earlier, different funding opportunities to increase profitability and consolidate debt, sourcing for team issues. Now, this is huge. One of the big things that I love working on with the people that I work closely with for my VIP clients and for anyone who's in my inner circle is this. Building a team is a challenge, and it's one of those things that is super stressful to a creative business owner. I don't know what it is, but I think there's a lot of guilt when it comes to having to give feedback to people and having to lead, manage, and hold a team accountable, because we probably kind of want to be people's friends, and it's a lot of work. And I was just working with one of my VIP clients in this experience about how they were struggling because they had a COO who they needed to let go of, and that COO basically held the key to all their passwords. And so just coaching them through that and how to get unstuck was incredible. And so there's just the upside and the opportunity. I mean, and then obviously like many of the people in my masterminds over the years and in my programs have gotten great results when it comes to sales and profitability. That's just a given because of the emphasis on marketing that we put over here. But at the end of the day, the results are really specific to you and what you and your business need. And so this is the power of getting a great group together. The third thing that I think is really powerful about a mastermind group is accountability and the ability to create motivation for the other members of the group. So when I'm meeting with my friends Margaret and Dana, every single month we set goals that we want to achieve, and we have to go back and report those goals at the end of that period to talk about, okay, this is what we achieved, this is what we're doing. I'm in another business group where we had a mastermind experience. They held us accountable to getting the thing that we said we were going to do done. And so I had to go through this process of making sure within 6 weeks, I had a marketing manager hired, or at least I was on the road to doing that, meaning like I can't control like the length of time that it takes to hire the person, but I had all the steps in place by this certain time. It really does hold you accountable because at the end of the day, the people in your mastermind want to see you succeed. And if you're in the right group, they're going to hold your feet to the fire to get those things done. Now, the next reason why masterminds are so powerful, this is kind of reason number 4, is that the networking and relationships that you build inside that community last sometimes forever. Like some of my best friends are people that I met inside of a mastermind group because they understand what I'm going through, because they know the challenges that I face, and because they just have got my back. And that's really the best part of it. Plus, they know people that they can introduce you to, and it's like a referral network that keeps on giving for the long haul. And that's what it's all about. Now, this is my favorite part of it, the idea sharing and innovation. So one of the things that we used to do in Ryan's mastermind was he would have a competition for people within the first 90 minutes that we were sitting down at our events, where everyone had to pitch themselves 90 seconds about something that they did to make or save a minimum of $20,000. And it was crazy because it got so competitive. The idea sharing was insane. Now, I was able to optimize my launch patterns. I was able to create a hiring funnel that I still use today and I continue to optimize. And this was all years ago. That has helped me source key talent. I learned how to, build quiz funnels. I learned how to do so many different things through this idea sharing and like reinvention of or up-leveling of things that might seem like status quo. It's game changing. And whenever I see people masterminding in our community, when we get people together for mastermind sessions, et cetera, it's awesome to see the light bulbs going off because they're like, I never thought of it that way. Because here's the thing, when you are so close to it, it's hard to see the clear path forward. When you're so close to it, it is really hard to see the clear path forward. So I want to remind you of that. The idea sharing and innovation is crazy, which leads to you're always learning and you're going to enhance your skills and become better. So whatever you are trying to hone in on, someone in the group is probably an expert at that and they can help you with it. And then obviously, these groups are like the people who got your back. It's like your confidants and the people who are going to help you overcome those challenges. Now, one of the favorite things that I really love about my mastermind communities is this. If I have a problem, I can come to them in confidence and share what's going on, and they will help me solve the problem no matter what. No matter what. And there's always that support, and it's made overcoming really challenging things so hard. Now, Margaret is interesting. About a year and a half ago, I was really having some challenges with my team, scaling the team, getting the team on the same page, all the things. And she gave me such great advice on things that I needed to do to either coach team members, or maybe when it was time when I was having a hard time letting someone go, why I needed to let them go, or whatever it might be. And it's really, really powerful, the amount of obstacles that you can overcome when someone else has more experience or has been through that. And then obviously, one of the biggest results is increased sales and business growth, because that's the whole point of this. So sometimes I've even seen businesses not even increase their sales, but they've streamlined their business so much that they were twice as profitable as they were before. Because it's not just about making more money, it's about the money and the wealth that you take home, right? So it really is powerful when it comes to that. And then finally, the emotional support and confidence building is incredible. And I say this because, a lot of times we're working in a business, we feel very alone. And even if sometimes we're in a community or a program, we're not going to publicly state what's going on. When you're in an intimate group and you have these long connections where you can text your friend saying I'm struggling today, can you help me out? You have this ongoing emotional support with people who get you. Now, before I talk about the long-term benefits of joining a mastermind, let me recap some of the reason why they're so powerful. First of all, Napoleon Hill mentions the power of the mastermind, and this really comes down to creating a mind that is diverse in thinking and can fill in the gaps of where you have a blind spot. So this really comes down to the collective intelligence. It also creates accountability and motivates you to move forward. Because if you're in a group of badasses and you say you're going to do something, at the end, or they're going to hold your feet to the fire and make sure that stuff gets done or ask you why you aren't doing it. And it's a great accountability motivator, and that's why your business starts to grow. It's amazing for networking and relationships and building a big network of people that you can rely on for the long haul. And then also, it's really powerful for idea sharing and innovation. When you're inspired by someone else's strategy and you can basically cater that to your own, it just speeds everything up for the long haul. You end up learning a lot in a mastermind, which is great, and you end up increasing and improving your skill set. And then, most importantly, it helps you overcome challenges and struggles that you have in your business because of the support of that group. And then the last two here, the result of all those things is that your business just grows. You have increased sales and increased profitability and all those things because of the work that you're doing on your business. And finally, you have that emotional support from the people who are there in that group to help you out. Now, let's talk about some of the long-term benefits. There's a reason why really good mastermind groups have such solid retention. There's this one mastermind group run by a guy named Jeff Walker, and it's unrelated in industry, but also kind of bro marketers in there. I know of several people and know several people in that group. They have all been in that group for 10 years. And there is a waiting list a mile long. They won't let new people in because it's capped at a certain amount. And if you leave, the chances of you getting back in are very slim. And that group is really tight knit. They're their best bros. And so when you get into a community like this, the reason why people don't leave is because the relationships are so strong in what they're getting. So the long-term benefits of a mastermind are just really the network that you're building, the emotional support, and the community and connection that you've built for long-term success. Now, you might be wondering, how do I choose a mastermind group and how do I become part of one? Now, you know that I have one, so if that's interesting to you, please feel free to apply. And if it doesn't, no big deal. My feelings won't be hurt if you find someone else who feels like a mentor that you're supposed to be following. Now, a good mastermind group should be something that, number one, you're in a community of people who understand your business model. That is key. Number two, it's people who are in the same range or scope of business that you are in. So I'm going to focus on 2 points here. Number one, you want a certain barrier to entry so that people are kind of at a baseline. So at that baseline, you want that certain barrier to entry and then all the way upwards to maybe 10x more in revenue, but also similar types of businesses, but with different perspectives. So in my mastermind, we have people who have custom fine jewelry offerings. We have people with retail stores who are selling lower end product, who are scaling their business. We have people who have, concierge services, or they're doing private shopping for their customers. So it's a wide variety of different types of jewelry businesses, from retailers to wholesalers to people working direct to consumer in a variety of different ways. And I say that because these different perspectives are super helpful in seeing things in a different way. And even if you don't have that business model, it can help. So you want to look for a group that has a variety of perspectives. If everyone's the same, you might not get the same output or whatever. Also, people are too different. I've heard this before. Like if you have like a jewelry company with someone with a coaching business, it's not necessarily as relatable and kind of hard to like find that connection because they don't have the same experience or understanding of the way the business is run. So at least in the very least, anyone listening to this podcast, make sure that you find a group if you're looking for one that is for product-based businesses. That's super helpful. And then you also want to be aligned with the mentor. So whoever's leading the group, you want to make sure that your vibe matches their vibe. And I say this because like if you don't like the person and you're just joining a group because, and that person's like real woo and you don't believe in that stuff, or vice versa, the person's really like straight to the point and is not woo and you are, then you're gonna like have a hard time like really finding alignment in that group. So make sure that you're vibing with the mentor. And then finally, make sure that the deliverables of the mastermind are something that really inspire you and get you motivated to make that investment. And the reason I say that is because everyone's kind of in a different spot. And if you don't like to travel and the mastermind that you're going to requires in-person meetings, I mean, nothing is necessarily required, but it's really structured around in-person meetings and you aren't able to do that, then it's probably not a good fit. But if it's, something where you love to travel and they're only doing Zoom calls, that might not be the right vibe for you as well. So finding something where the alignment with how the mastermind's being run is going to be super powerful into enjoying that group. Now, joining a mastermind, I think every business owner at a certain point should be doing this. And the very least, if you're not ready for a mastermind group or you have a smaller business that's sub 6 figures a year and an investment in a mastermind program isn't quite for you yet, there's other things that you can do. You can join a coaching program, you can take courses, you can join a membership community where you're just learning from your peers, all sorts of different things that you can do to get a different but similar benefit from being in communion with other business owners or like-minded business owners, I should say. And so I really do believe in the power of a mastermind, and I would encourage you to find a group, if it's not mine, to join and, see how your business thrives through that experience, because it's pretty incredible. So thanks so much for listening to the show today. And I've mentioned it a few times, but if you're interested in applying to the Collective, a mastermind for jewelry business owners who are high achieving and ready to do big things next year in 2024, then here's your official invite. You can head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/mastermind and fill out that quick application. And let's discuss if it's a good fit for you. And if you're not sure and you just want to chat a little bit more, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram over at Tracy Matthews NY. And let's discuss if it's a good fit for you and all the things. All right, ciao for now. This is Tracy signing off.